and we have the answers. Today's topic is pricing your home to attract buyers as well as getting it sold, the most important part. I'm Missy Stagers, broker owner of M. Stagers Realty Partners, and thank you for joining me today. So let's talk about this. There are several ways that people look at pricing their home today. The first way, lots of people go to that Zestimate. That's a new word in the English dictionary. And that Zestimate is where Zillow will tell you what your home is worth. Now, the question of the day is, how accurate are they? Sometimes they're right, many times and most times there's not. So why is that? Well, Zillow has an aggregation where it pulls in many factors about properties around you, not just specific to your neighborhood, and does an aggregation of pricing. It doesn't necessarily know that you have a pool, or that you have an in-law suite, or that you just did updates 6 months ago compared to the house that didn't do updates. Their updates were 5 years ago. So that's the problem with the Zestimate. It's a great place to start, but it's not accurate pricing. What's the next one? Insurance. A lot of people get an estimate from their insurance company of what their home is worth. What is the difference about that? Insurance is if you had to rebuild it cost. That is much different because being a resale property, you are not a brand new home. The cost per square foot is very different when it's new construction, not out of the wrapper. And so that replacement cost is very different when it deals with insurance. And then the next one after that is a housing calculator. Many sites have them. Many different banks offer them and so forth. And that mostly is the same problem as Zillow. It does an aggregation and does not look at your specific upgrades or assets or amenities to what your property may or may not offer. And lastly, there's the real estate agent. If you have a great realtor, then you will find that pricing is not what you think it's worth. It's not what you want for the property or need for the property. It is based off of analytical information. Now that information starts with the micro, and the micro is your current neighborhood. Not all neighborhoods are equal, so you should not be looking at other neighborhoods because cost basis of those neighborhoods vary greatly. So your value comes from establishing what has sold in the last 6 months or less, and sometimes more if there's not enough analytical data, for what has sold in your neighborhood that is like square footage. So we don't take apples and oranges and come up with a price. If we have apples and oranges, we have to adjust those so that they are all an apple. And as a realtor, we know how to do that. We should be able to prove to you and walk you through a market analysis that takes like properties and shows you, yep, they had similar attributes to the property and it lines up with yours. Or if it was missing a few, then maybe we adjust that a little based on those things. There are items that do get adjusted and items that don't get adjusted. I always like to use crown molding as an example. Crown molding is beautiful. It makes the house look stout and much more substantial in feeling. Do you get extra dollars necessarily from crown molding? No, you don't. But it will make the difference of why your house sells versus someone else's because someone likes that. We call amenities to be used for that term. Now, so once we establish like properties and look at what they sold for, then that is how we will arrive at a pricing for your property based on your subdivision. But I like to take it a step further. I believe in looking at a macro picture as well. This is how we know we will attract buyers. Now, the macro picture tells us not just what our home is worth, but where is the market currently and what is going on around me, especially if I have a time frame I need to meet. I need to look at where are the buyers buying, what price ranges are they in, and how do I fit into that equation. With a macro view, much like a zip code or several zip codes, we look at similar square footage, age, and so forth, and we take a slice of that market and look to see if you're fitting within that market of where they're moving. If you're at the very top end, it may take you a while. If you're at the very bottom end, then we know you might have a little leverage to push price some. So that's where that macro view helps you. Hopefully I've answered some questions on how to properly price your property. We're open to all of your questions. I want to thank you for joining us on this very first Monday Matters. It's going to be every Monday at 11:30 live, and we would love your questions and we'll make sure to answer them. You can contact us by phone, 210-305-5665. You can go to our website and click and ask to contact us and leave us your questions there. You can also message us, and we look forward to answering those questions. See you next week on the next topic. Thanks for joining me.